What's going on, YouTube? Billy Carson here, aka Forbidden Knowledge. Today we're going to talk about ancient civilizations, and I'm going to go in a little bit about the connectivity between some of these ancient sites and ancient civilizations around the world. So it's going to be a great talk tonight. Looking forward to it. And I'm going live directly on YouTube right now, which is something that I've actually never done. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this actually works. Right now, I can see that supposedly there's about 3 or 4 people coming in. Okay, more people are coming on now. I've never gone live directly on the YouTube app. So I'm just curious to see how it's going to work. Let's see if the notifications go out. All right. Do you have any, are y'all hearing my voice? Are y'all hearing the sound? Let me know in the live chat if you can hear me. All right. Let me know in the live chat if you can hear me. What's going on, Marilyn? Dizzo? All right. Okay, beautiful. That's great. What's happening? Jessica. Okay, there we go. Everybody's pouring in. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, everyone, for confirming that you can hear me okay. All right, it's been a long day today for me, and I just wanted to hop in here and have a conversation with y'all. I wanted to go live directly on the YouTube app itself, just so I can see exactly how it functions, how it works, what's going on. Last one. All right. Ignite. Okay. Everyone's coming in. Maryland, General Lee. Oh, the General Lee. That's old school right there. Nobody knows what that's all about. That's a classic show. The Duke Boys. All right. Love y'all too. Thank you, Stephen. Okay, great. So we're going to have a great talk tonight. Just a brief. I'm not going to keep y'all on here too long. I definitely wanted to talk about a couple things and also drop a link to the event that I'll be at in Sedona. So I'll be in Sedona. It's not Sedona. I will be in what's the name of this place? I'm in so many places. Scottsdale. I will be in Scottsdale, Arizona, December 5th through 7th. Scottsdale, Arizona, December the 5th through the 7th. And it's going to be an Ancient Civilizations Conference. Everything Ancient Civilizations. So if you're a fan of Randall Carlson, he'll be there. Okay. Let me give you some of the speakers. Randall Carlson, incredible teacher. Lots of wisdom. David Hatcher Childress, another incredible guy, good friend. He's on the Ancient Aliens series for the last 20 plus years. And he's also an educator. David Hatcher Childress, he's probably published at least 20 books of his own and well over 100 for the community. Hugh Newman, okay, another incredible teacher. I love Hugh. He's incredible. Him and his amazing wife or partner, JJ, will be there as well. William Henry, another good friend of mine, great human being. I've done podcasts with William Henry. I've been on Ancient Aliens with William Henry. He's actually one of the producers of Ancient Aliens for the last 20 years. Great human being. He does tours around the world as well. We have a lot in common, and looking forward to seeing William at the actual event. Gary Buechler, I've never met him in person, but I'm looking forward to meeting him. Michael Button, I met him on a podcast before, just briefly on a about 1-hour podcast. Dan Richards, great person. I met Dan in person earlier this year, great human being. Oana Goshel, I'm looking forward to meeting her. Will Brown and Michael Collins, I'm looking forward to meeting both of them. So it's going to be a great event. And I'll drop the link in the live chat for you to this event. And then we'll start to talk about some ancient civilization stuff. But this event's in December. It's only a few weeks away. December 5th through the 7th. So if you want to meet me out there at Scottsdale, I look forward to meeting you, spending some time with you, and getting to know you, take some photos, and you can come to my lecture. Okay, I'll be speaking there, and I'll be on some panels as well. So it's going to be exciting. My first time doing Scottsdale, Arizona, December the 5th through the 7th. Okay, I just dropped a link in the live chat. I'll drop the link in the live chat again. So I might talk about this for a few more days, just because I want to make sure that we get as many people there in the last few seats that are available. It's almost sold out, but let's go ahead and fill that thing all the way up and show the people that we really want really want the knowledge. So tonight I'm going to just spend a little time with you. I just want to go over a couple things dealing with ancient civilizations. And one of the things that I've noticed doing this now for so many years, let's see, my oldest son is Jordan is 34. So I've been at this for 35 years. 35 years I've been on this. 35 years. As I started a year before he was born, and he's 34 now. Matter of fact, yeah, he'll be 35 in August coming up next year. And then behind him, I have my other daughter, April, who is 33. My other daughter, Bobby, who is 31. And then I have Giovanni, who is 29. And then I have Justin, who's 25. Time flies. Time, man. Listen, Father Time never lost a battle. Father Time never lost a battle. That is crazy. I mean, that is really crazy. Mind-boggling how fast time actually goes by. So make sure that you are spending time with your loved ones. Make sure you tell somebody that your loved ones or your family members that you love them every single day, because the time is going to go very fast, and before you know it, it'll be gone. It'll be gone. All right. And cherish those moments with your kids when they're younger. Don't let the video games babysit them. Make sure you spend some good time with them. Make sure that you pour into them, okay? Because you'll wake up one day and they'll all be grown and they'll all be spread out. And right now, if I wanted to say, hey, let's get together next week, it's this whole coordination that has to happen because people are all over the place, and everyone's got their own life now, right? So it's not easy to just say, hey, just show up. It's a whole big planning. You have to do a planning and all these things, and it's just not it's not the same. Okay. So it's interesting. So thank you, Large Vanilla Shake. I appreciate you. So anyway, let's get back to the topic. I got a little sidetracked there. I got a little sentimental. Okay. The ancient civilizations around the world, like, of course, ancient Egypt, Sumer, Göbekli Tepe, so we're talking Turkey, Bosnia, so we're talking Europe, Australia with the Aboriginals. In the North Americas, we have the various tribes throughout the North Americas, Hopi, Lakota, Blackfoot. My father was a Blackfoot Indian, rest his soul. And then we have the South Americans, which take us into the Mayan culture, the Aztecs, and the Olmecs, and so forth and so on, the Teotihuacans. And if you go and you look and analyze all of these civilizations, you begin to realize as you study them that intrinsically they are all connected in some way. And I remember the first time I started making these connections, I was just like, wait a minute. First, of course, the thing that stands out are the stones, the type of construction technique that was used. They're all the same. Extremely similar techniques. And even in the outback in Australia, there are some remnant megalithic structures out there in the outback that have the same construction technique you'll see in Egypt, Turkey, Bosnia, South America, North America, you name it. And so I started asking myself some questions like, could these civilizations all be connected? And once you ask that question, then everything else just opens up to you, because you then begin to see that everything is connected, that we're talking about one master architect. We're talking about master blueprints that were then carried around the world. We're talking about this Atlantean civilization, which some records left behind talk about way before Plato, tens of thousands of years before Plato even existed to give his account of Atlantis. We have records that talk about Atlantis. We have beings that say that they are sons of Atlantis. And so the question becomes, what is Atlantis? Where is Atlantis? Was it in the Atlantic Ocean? Right? And so I come to another conclusion. Initially, I thought, okay, Atlantis was a ring city that sunk, or a civilization somewhere on the other side that we just can't identify at this moment because it's been maybe built over, right? Maybe geologically it's been went on a subduction plate. Maybe it's part of a mountain now. We just didn't know. Things were discovered underneath the ocean, like the Bimini Wall and things like that. And then it's like you keep thinking about it, and you go, man, if these beings were talking about being from Atlantis and having this advanced Atlantean civilization, and they were so advanced, why would they just hover on one place on Earth when Earth is so big and so vast? And that would explain then why these techniques are spread out all around the world. They're spread around the world because this was a global civilization. The more I studied, the more I started researching and looking at the text and reading everything, even in the Indian text. I forgot to mention India. The Vedas and the Rig Veda, the Battle of the Ten Kings, and the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita and all these other Indian texts and Vedic texts, you start to see this connection where these beings were moving around. They were being sent to different parts of the world to build new civilizations, but they were still all connected. They were all part of the same connected civilization called Atlantis. So Atlantis was not just a ringed city. I think we keep getting caught up too much looking for this fabled ringed city, which in my opinion did exist for a fact. Randall Carlson was in the Azores just last week or so looking for more evidence of Atlantis, and I think he's doing a great job. We will eventually find that original source of that ring city soon. Maybe he's got the data on that now. But I believe that the ringed city was just one capital out of dozens of capitals that existed around the entire planet. So Atlantis maybe being one of the very first established capitals, but then as people were sent out and spread out, rulers and these beings they called the Anuna, they had different names for them in different parts of the world, Netiru, Netters, Anox, whatever you want to call them. They began to rule over people in different parts of the world, utilizing and taking with them the same structure, the same system, the same building techniques, and moving them all around the planet until it became a global civilization. And this Atlantis existed, in my opinion, long before the largest great flood. We had several great floods. I think some were global, and I think some were more regional, but that some had to do with the Younger Dryas incident, but that before the Great Flood, Atlantis existed and was a thriving global civilization. And then after the Great Flood, we find that they begin to rebuild civilization all over the earth, and they go back to reclaim some of the existing sites that were there. And in one of the texts, Thoth from ancient Kemet says, I am here to help rebuild and bring you back up to a high level of civilization. So those words are very telling. When he says, he's going to bring them back up to. That means that at one point in the past, they were already a high-level functioning civilization. And then after he says, we dwelt in the land of Chem, long and yet long again. So he's talking about a long time. They were there for probably, who knows, hundreds, maybe thousands of years, reclaiming the high civilization there. And then after he did that for quite some time, the people that he took there were part of his crew to help reestablish Chem, land of Kemet. He told them to spread out and duplicate what we did here. Exact words. He said, spread out and duplicate what we did here. And so then this crew, they fan out. They go start heading to other parts of the world, and they begin to duplicate what they built in the land of Kemet, one of the first places that was reclaimed after the Great Flood. I'm not sure if that was the original source place or original place that high civilization started before the flood. All I know is that the initial text that you can find, the furthest back text you can find that references anything at all, is when Thoth's father sends him on a mission because the flood waters are residing, and he sends him to the land of Kemet and tells him to follow the plan that ye know of. And that plan was to help rebuild. So he gets into the great ship of the master, and this ship doesn't go on the ocean. The ship rises into the sky until he sees the earth disappear. And then it says, as he got to the place appointed, he saw the land of Chem beneath him, and he saw the rush of the fountains had stopped. That's the water, that's the flooding. And he saw an ancient temple coming up out of the mud. And people had now lost high civilization. As he said, they had become hairy barbarians. Okay? So imagine right now today, we have some unexpected global situation. We have a coronal mass ejection from the sun. We have a CME. This CME comes and just shreds Earth, just destroys every single microchip, like a massive EMP, electromagnetic pulse. Everything's fried. This camera won't work, cell phones don't work, cars don't work. Nothing works because everything runs on chips now. All the chips are fried. We can't communicate with anybody. We can't coordinate. You can't call 911, right? What are you going to do? So what happens, we begin to form small pockets of community where we can communicate, right? In these smaller areas, because that's all we got. Nothing electronic, nothing technological is functioning anymore. So there's an immediate run on the grocery stores. There's going to be battles over what last resources are available. And since farms are 40 plus miles away on average from cities, there's going to be a lot of theft going on within the smaller groups and areas as people begin to get more and more hungry. Eventually, some people will figure out how to start growing some food, but protecting their little tiny farms is going to be a hell of a job to protect them from invaders that want to come while they're sleeping and steal their crops. It will be absolute mayhem. People will go into survival mode, especially since hardly anybody has seeds anymore. Hardly anyone has seeds, and all the fruits and vegetables are virtually seedless. So what happens? We begin to regress over time. By the second generation, this generation, the first generation, we know how to use a cell phone. We don't know how to make one because it took probably about 100 different people to develop different types of technologies that eventually were all coalesced and put together into this device called a cell phone. And we can't even contact them people. We can't get the towers back up, the cell phone towers back up. We can't communicate. By the second generation, this is just a giant paperweight. It means nothing to them. By the third generation, we're back to hunter-gatherers and farmers again. By the fourth generation, we just, we're damn near just back to the caveman style. Really. And so you can see this progression over time if there was a global disaster like that, like a great flood. Something that literally wipes away everything that exists and buries everything in mud. There's no tools left. There's nothing left. There's no food left. There's nothing. And so these people, according to Thoth, had turned back into what he called hairy barbarians. Why hairy? Well, there's no hair clippers. There are no razors. Right now, if that happened to us, my hair clippers would be down because they wouldn't work anymore. Razors would be used until they ran out. And once the razors are all gone, the factories are closed. They're not making any more razors. Everyone's hair would begin to grow. Everyone would have a lot of facial hair on their head, unless they can find scissors to keep cutting it and trimming it. But most people won't have access to scissors long term. So when scissors run out, or people hoard those scissors as gold, like gold, a lot of people will be walking around with a lot of hair. So he says they're hairy barbarians. Makes a lot of sense to me, right? Makes a lot of sense to me. Scissors will be worth gold, their weight in gold. Coffee would be worth its weight in gold. One of the things I have in case of an apocalyptic situation is I have tons and tons of freeze-dried coffee. Coffee is a commodity. It's actually the number 2 commodity in the world behind oil. I don't have gold bars. I don't have silver bars. I don't have titanium. I have coffee. Because at the end of the day, when everything is said and done, and there's an apocalypse, people will do anything for a nice hot cup of coffee just to feel normal again. So I have coffee, tons of it. That's my commodity. All right. Coffee is where I'm drinking coffee right now. It's the number 2 drink in the world. Number 2 commodity that's consumed in the world. And so coffee is my thing. It'll be worth a lot of money in case something happens. I also have an underground shelter in case you didn't know. It's called Fort Terra Nova. Some of y'all know about it. Some of you don't. The first time I ever got on TV back in 2013 was on a show called Countdown to Apocalypse on the History Channel. My debut to mainstream TV, 2013. It's registered on IMDb. You can look it up. I built an underground city the size of 3 Walmarts that can hold 360 people in case of a regional or global disaster. Yeah. Tilapia pool, which creates its own ecosystem. The tilapia, when they pass their waste, it feeds the plants in the hydroponics lab. Turbine diesel engine. I really wish I didn't have to use that, but for right now, that's all I've got. Working on some other clean energy, but the cleanest one that I wanted to get my hands on got blocked by the U.S. military. And the only companies that have access to that are Google and eBay. So they have that. It takes the atmosphere and it takes sand, and between those two, in a very simple process, it creates electricity, free, abundant electricity. And that server is called a server. It powers Google University. They don't plug into the grid for their electricity. They run on this huge device that gives them free energy. And I tried to get my hand on one back when I was doing this project. And they told me that the US government had already put eminent domain on it and no other corporations were now allowed to buy it. So I got stuck not getting that, and I've got to find another way. And because I really don't want to keep the turbine diesel engine, but for right now, that's what we got. But anyway, so if I'm preparing like that, if I've got these things going on, so these people must have had something too, because though it says that they were living inside these caves, but they were man-made caves. They weren't like caves inside of a hill. So they had, in some way, some people had found a way to survive in these caves. But he says he's going to bring them back up to a high level of civilization. So they were already at a high level prior to this disaster. And as his crew went around the world, they duplicated what they did there. Slightly different motif, slightly different artistic style. Everyone put their little spin on it. However, you'll go around this world, especially in the 33rd degree parallel, and you're going to find similar structures, and they're all going to be built on top of magnetic anomalies. Someone taught this information. Someone taught it. Someone gave the architectural work and the blueprint, and someone executed it. They obviously were given the same tools so that they can take these tools around the world and they can train people how to help build these structures. I don't believe that these high-level beings themselves did the actual labor. I just don't believe that. When you have an architect, and I had two architects in my family, my grandfather, who was a hidden figure at NASA. A hidden figure means that he was one of the original planners, being an African-American, that were kept secret from the general public until more recently. There was a movie that came out called Hidden Figures, as a matter of fact. But he designed the very first launch tower for the space shuttle, the very first space shuttle. It was top secret at first, and eventually he finally got a chance, when they declassified it, he finally got a chance to let us see the pictures and everything else. And then also my cousin, Ramona, she's also an architect. But architects don't do the labor. Like, they're not out there hammering, driving a nail into a plank of wood. They're behind the scenes, okay? They are literally behind the scenes. And they are the people who mastermind the architectural masterpiece. From there, they hand it over to an engineer. The engineer runs it through the numbers, make sure the weight load, weight distribution, make sure it's feasible, the design works in real world application. All that happens next. And then after that, then a foreman running the workers doles out the workload and says, hey, you over here, y'all over here, and start completing this in this order. Boom, 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 boom. This is how you use this machine. This is how you use that machine. Let's start with the foundation. Let's clear this foundation. Let's drop this. Let's pour some concrete and put some steel rebar down. I want this sunk into the earth about 30 feet. I mean, all that starts happening. But the architect and the engineer, their hands are clean. Their fingernails are clean. They are not doing the labor. So I do believe that people were doing the labor, human beings. Okay, I do believe that human beings were doing the labor under the watchful eye of these people who had the advanced knowledge. But these techniques were then taught all around the world, linking these civilizations. Somebody had the technology to detect magnetic anomalies and knew exactly where to build these structures based on those magnetic anomalies. Today, to do that today, we can only do it with satellites that scan the Earth in a polar orbit. In other words, they orbit the Earth. Let me see if I got it. They orbit the Earth. Let's say this is the Earth. They orbit the Earth this way. And as the Earth spins, they're scanning. And as they're scanning, they're taking swaths of data and stitching them together And then the supercomputer is analyzing that data and processing it to find out things like electromagnetic fields, peaks and valleys, resources on the planet, lakes, rivers, oceans, and seas. All that's being collected by satellite data. And so, for example, the Great Pyramid itself is located directly at the center of landmass on Earth, not the center of the Earth. The Great Pyramid is located directly at the center of land mass. That means where the pyramid sits, if you measure all the mass of land above water to the left, and if you measure all the mass of land above water to the right, you come up with the same amount of land. There's only one way to do that today. We need a polar orbiting satellite to scan the Earth as it spins on its axis so that we can calculate all of the land mass. The second thing that you're going to find, and I'm going to drop the link to this conference in the live chat again. I'm going to be at the Ancient Civilizations Conference in Scottsdale, Arizona on December 5th through 7th. I'll be on speaking panels. I'll be lecturing. I'll be signing books and everything else. Going to have a great time taking pictures with you, meeting you, hearing your story. So come on out to Scottsdale, Arizona. The next thing is the Great Pyramid's height. The Great Pyramid's height is the average of all of the peaks on Earth. I want you to meditate on that for a minute. Hear what I just said. The height of the Great Pyramid is the average height of all of the peaks on Earth. How do you get that number? Well, again, if you said to me, Billy, I'd like to hire your company to get this data so we can know how high to build our building, I would then go and commission a satellite. And I would put that satellite in a polar orbit. And I would have that satellite scanning for topographical data to get me the peaks, the total number of peaks on Earth, and utilizing penetrating radar to give me the depths of the valleys connected to those peaks. And then I would have to divide those peaks by the number to get the total height. Once I got the total height, then I can say this is the average height. Once I got the average height, I can say, sir, this is the average height. And then now that person will build the Great Pyramid to that height. That's how it would have to be done today. There's no other way to do it, because you can't climb every peak and measure every peak from the ground around the entire planet. You have to actually utilize technology that can scan the planet for you and do the simple math and give you the average height of all the peaks on Earth. This is telling us that we, meaning us, this version of human being, and this quote unquote civilization, this advanced civilization, we haven't even scratched the surface yet to where we're going to be. These previous cultures were not only interconnected, but they were super high tech. And they had really developed a way, and I'm dropping a link in the live chat again to the Scottsdale, Arizona event that I'll be speaking at with my good friend Randall Carson. They were so high tech, they discovered how to make solid state machines out of stone. So right now, most of us are using SSD, solid state hard drives. The hard drives back in the day that used to spin all the time, those break too easy. Hardly anybody has those anymore. Now it's mostly SSD. Solid state storage devices are pretty much standard now, right? USB drives and so forth. Imagine you travel to a planet. Imagine we've got our ship ready to go. We hop in, we fly a couple light years, we find a nice habitable planet. we're not just stopping at this planet. We're going to visit a few, but we got to stop off over here for a minute. We get there. It's not highly civilized. It's not technologically advanced. But we need to make a breakaway civilization there temporarily because we're going to be here for a little while before we take off again. Let me ask you a question. Do we go and build factories and find cavemen and train them how to work and run factories and technology so that we can create an entire infrastructure to go away from farming to get food and to build technology so we can have more tools and more ships and all these things and electricity flowing all around? Or probably not. We probably won't do that. What we would do if we were masters like these people were, we would master stone, crystal. We would master diorite. We would master granite. We would master all of the limestone even. You get limestone resonating at a certain frequency, you can use it as a communications device. So we would master the resources that already existed there. And we would turn those things into multifunctional solid state machines. And that's exactly what they did. No matter where you go around the world to these interconnected ancient civilizations, you find that these are all solid state. These temples and pyramids, they're solid state machines with multi-functions, multiple purposes. All of them. And we still today don't fully understand everything that they were used for, the full capabilities of all these sites. They had so many functions, we're still scratching our head trying to figure out what they were for. Most people know them for healing. Why? Because when you go to these sites, when I take people on tour every year, I just got back from Egypt a few months ago. People come, sometimes they have injuries, sometimes they got sore knees or sore backs from, just aging. But when we're around these temples and these sites or inside the pyramids, the pain subsides. Why is that? Because these sites are known for thousands of years as healing centers. Okay, they're known for that. Thanks for the donation, Jedi Monk. I don't really know. I'm directly in let me see if I can click on what happens. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I'm inside. I can't put it up on the screen because I'm directly in the app, but I appreciate you. Thank you, Jedi Monk, for the donation. So they understood technology in a way we don't understand today. Now, I want you to take this metaphor from me so you can understand how these temples and pyramids had different layers of use. Right now, all of us have a computer. Pretty much everyone on this live feed has a computer at home or has a laptop or a MacBook or whatever you have. If you don't have one at home, you have one at work. Now, if you're an amateur at using that device, the most you can do is check email and respond to email and do a couple of Google searches. Go to a website, basic stuff. That's the bare bones level user. That's what most people are utilizing these ancient sites as healing devices. So people will go there to relieve pain, to feel better, to feel more connected to source and spirituality. That's level number one. That's the bare bones basic that these sites can do. Now, let's say you get on your computer and you're a little bit more advanced. You're not a beginner. Now you can get on there and you can do a few extra things, right? Forget using Google. You know how to use ChatGPT. You know how to do deep research. You know how to source things online. You know how to utilize a computer to run computer-assisted design programs, CADs, to help with the construction of homes and engineering and materials. Okay? So now you've gone from level 1 to level 2. And then let's go into level 3. Somebody at level 3 can do level 1, level 2, but in 3, they know how to create the plans to create an actual intercontinental ballistic missile. They understand rocket science. They use a computer to experiment and do mathematical models on quantum physics and quantum physics and quantum theory. They understand theoretical physics, and they understand how to even build and create models that give us hyperdimensional quasi-crystals, eighth dimensional quasi-crystals, and fourth dimensional quasi-crystals on the computer. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. The person that has the highest level of knowledge of how to access and utilize this one same machine can take it to the highest level where they can take us off planet. They can help us build a spaceship and go to another world. But the person at the base level can only check email on the same exact computer. You see what I'm talking about now? So what I'm telling you is that these ancient temples and these ancient sites aren't what they appear to be. Going there for healing? Yes, fine. I do it every year. But what I'm telling you is that's the bare bones basic level of use for those sites. And I'm going to be going over this in depth at the Ancient Civilizations Conference. And I'm going to be showing all the use cases for a lot of these sites. And that's going to be in Scottsdale, Arizona, December 5th through 7th. Make sure y'all come on down. It's going to be an amazing event. If you can get there, it's going to be phenomenal. This is an Ancient Civilizations Conference. First one I've been to like this in a while. That's just purely going in deep on these ancient sites. I came from one a few months back in North Carolina, but it was a little bit of a mix. But we're going straight into the ancients. We're going straight into the ancients. We're going into geology, anthropology, archaeoastronomy, astroastrology. We're going deep. It's going to be amazing. And when you finally see what the use cases were for these temples and pyramids, it's going to blow your mind. Because I'm going to tap into that information and I'm going to go deep. I'm going to break it all out, and then I'm going to show you the science and the mathematics behind it that shows you exactly what these things were used for. All right? I'll show you how to turn limestone into a communications device. It's going to be an incredible conference. I'm going to drop the link in here again in the live chat. Hopefully, y'all can come on out there and hang out in Scottsdale, Arizona. This is my very first time going live directly on YouTube without StreamYard, without any other streaming apparatus, just going right into the app. So it was kind of a good experience. I appreciate it. Thank y'all for the likes and the thumbs ups, and wanted to see how this actually worked and how the notifications went out and everything else, just to see, hey, sometimes I'm just going to hop on and do this. Tomorrow, I'm going to come on again, probably maybe around 3 or 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm going to do a live Q&A for an hour. So the whole talk will be Q&A. Tomorrow, look out for the notifications, okay? Because tomorrow I'm going to come live for the live Q&A tomorrow. And just going to talk and go live and just do a Q&A for a whole hour, all right? But hopefully you got something out of it. Hopefully you got a little epiphany tonight out of what I'm talking about, because a lot of people have never looked at it this way before. There are levels to the game. And right now, we only know the base bones, bare minimum level, but there are so many levels to the use case for this technology, this solid state tech that's just laying all over the earth. And it does a lot more than what we think. A lot more. All right. Anyway, thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for hanging out with me on this pop-up podcast on a Saturday evening. I'll be back again tomorrow for a live Q&A. And by the way, I want to tell you one more amazing thing. My book just came out, my new book, The Manifesting Codes. So the Manifestation Code book is out. I've been working on this for a while. I finally wrapped it up. I'm going to drop the link in the live chat to y'all here real quick before you run off. The Manifestation Codes by Billy Carson. It's live on Amazon right now. Oops, where's the link here? It's live on Amazon. Here we go. Boom. We just dropped the link in the live chat. If you get a chance, check out the Manifestation Codes by Billy Carson on Amazon. And it's makes a great holiday gift. Okay, if you want to give somebody something special that's going to change their life, something that's going to help them find a way to become the best version of themselves, instead of always giving somebody something that's completely useless, that'll end up in a drawer or with dead batteries, why don't we give them knowledge for the holidays? The Manifestation Codes, link will be in the caption of this video. And I just dropped the link in the live chat. I'll drop it in the live chat again. Manifestation Codes by Billy Carson on Amazon. My sixth book. And I already have books 7 and 8. They've been in editing for a while. I have to make a couple of adjustments to some of the information in there, but books 7 and 8 are coming probably sometime next year. But this is my sixth book, Manifestation Codes. All right, so check it out. I'll drop the link again in the live chat. And I appreciate y'all, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.